All righty. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to get the party started, right, Sarah?
Woo!
All right, that's what I like to hear. Let me admit these last three people. And what I will say is that my name is Jenny Hinchcliffe. Welcome, everyone. I am the Exhibitions and Events Manager here at the San Francisco Center for the Book, and I will be hosting today's From the Bench with Sarah Bryant. So that's very exciting. For those of you who this may be your first From the Bench that you're attending, please make sure to mute yourself. Once Sarah gets started, we don't want to hear any barking dogs or loud car noises in the background. And also, if you have questions throughout the presentation for Sarah, please go ahead and type them into the chat. And what we'll do is we'll have about a 10-minute Q&A at the end of the session. So questions are typed and not shouted out, just so everyone knows. All right, so a little bit about Sarah. Many of you may know her work, but I'll just give a little introduction here. Sarah Bryant has produced artist books under the name Big Jump Press since 2005. These books use analytical imagery and reference material to address topics ranging from archives and self-representation to population mapping and urban planning. She frequently collaborates with artists and individuals working in other fields. And her work can be found in dozens of libraries and private collections in the United States and abroad, including the Library of Congress, the New York Public Library, and the Yale Arts Library. She is currently assistant professor at the University of Alabama, where she teaches letterpress for the MFA Book Arts program. And to see more about her work, you can view her portfolio at Big Jump Press. So without further ado, I'm actually going to hand it on over to Sarah Bryant. And let me just spotlight you. Yay. Here you go. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. And in a minute, I'll ask you to spotlight my cell phone camera where I'm going to wiggle my hands around on some work in progress. But thank you all very much for coming. I'm really pleased to be doing this, and I see some friends there. And I want to say a special hello to the London Center for Book Arts, which I love, and I miss you all. Anyway, so I don't have a huge formal plan because this seems like kind of an informal, fun event. So I thought I would just kind of wing you around my studio and show you where I'm working when I'm not at the university, which, you know, for the last 2 years has been mostly I've been here, but now I'm finally back to teaching in person, which is really great, although complicated in Alabama right now. So then I have some work in progress, which is always kind of a little scary to show people because I haven't really refined the way I'm talking about it, even though it's been underway for so long. So many of my projects, and I think probably everybody feels this way, or hopefully a lot of people feel this way. I feel like everything got put on hold for this whole time, you know, or everything slowed to such a crawl while we all figured out how to handle what was going on at home or at work. So I'm kind of just now feeling back to some projects. So I thought I would talk about them, and maybe that will help me get some momentum talking to all of you. So I will start by showing you, first I'll show you my studio in my garage. I'm not going to carry you there, but I'm hopefully going to be able to share my screen. Oh, I can't. I wonder if I will be allowed to share my screen.
Let's see. Yes, Sarah, hang on just a sec. I will do that for you.
Thank you. So my press is in my garage, and let's see. Just a moment.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I'm a co-host.
Yes. And let me. Okay. All right. Go right ahead, Sarah.
Perfect. So I'll show you this. Share. Can everyone see this? Am
yes.
I being spotlit again, or am I just, who knows? Anyway, this is my garage. And also in the garage, which you cannot see, are an enormous oven, because my husband Ben bakes sourdough bread for the farmers market here. So there's like a gigantic oven. And there are 2 broken motorcycles and our lawnmower and a piano, which is free if any of you would like it. So it's kind of a crowded space. This is the view where you can't see any of that. So I used this garage to do a lot of stuff with my students last year, actually. Once I moved the press down, I moved it down in December after I got really sick of not having studio access at the university. I moved it down to Alabama. And it was up in upstate New York with my friends in Geneva, New York, who at the Miles and May Furniture Company, they were holding it there for me. So I moved it down and everything was better about my life because I had a press in my home, which has been a dream since I bought this press 15 years ago. It's never really been in the same space as I am. And it also meant that I could have my students come and print in a safe way. So I would open up the garage and people would wear masks and bring tailgating chairs, and I could kind of demonstrate in person after a couple of long semesters of doing everything online. We still did most everything on Zoom, just every now and then we have a garage day, which we all loved, I think. So that's the garage studio. I have an ingenious drying rack system made of clothespins that I hope you all appreciate. And I will stop sharing the screen now. Okay, great. Now I'm going to spotlight myself. And I hope you can all see me. Can you all see me? Am I spotlit? I'm just not sure.
Yes, we can see you, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you my my space in here. This is my basement. We're super lucky to have a basement in Alabama. So this is where I've been setting up. So I'm going to unplug you and wiggle you around a little bit. This way, I'll just kind of walk you. First of all, my life has been dominated by type distribution for the last several months. The press came down with bags and bags of Bembo, plastic bags, which is not the greatest way to keep your type or use your type. And so slowly, I'm working my way through. I've been going down from 18 point to 14 point, and now I'm using the 12 point into italic and Roman. Here's just a small sampling of what that type is looking like right now. So that's what I do to relax. I have a bunch of flat files, and this is the space where I kind of do most of my binding and that kind of stuff right over here, which I hope you can see. I'm not just pointing down at the floor, and I hope I'm not making anyone seasick. I'm almost done with this part of our tour. And then I'm going to one day be in one piece, or several pieces that work. So that is the studio. So back behind me, you can see kind of where I was sitting. There's a guest room down here too, just behind me. So whenever our friends come and stay, they're kind of staying in a letterpress cozy basement zone. All right. So I think I'm going to go ahead and switch over to show you some work in progress. And then I'll just chat about that for a bit. And then if anybody has any questions, please type it into the chat and I'll happily answer it at the end. So Jenny, if you don't mind switching over the spotlight to my my setup over on the table, that would be great.
Sure. Let me there are many things going on behind the scenes here that are very exciting. Let's see. All right, and Sarah's phone. Let's go ahead and spotlight that. Okay, yeah. Okay, you're good to go.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you over a little closer so I don't get quiet. Can everybody still hear me while I'm talking?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can hear you.
So I'm going to show 2 different projects that I've been working on. And one is a project about fabric samples. I was really interested in in swatch books. So I took a trip to Yale just before the pandemic started, and I took lots and lots of photos of tons of different kinds of fabric samples from the 19th and 20th century, and paint samples too. And I started thinking about how to make my own swatch book. And so what I decided to do, and this was before the pandemic, so it got really gazumped by the pandemic in a way that I think you'll understand in a second, is that I decided that I would make a sample book of my own domestic space. Like I would make a sample book using my own clothes and my walls and my skin and hair and all that kind of stuff. And then I started really working on that. And then as soon as I was kind of neck deep in it, I was suddenly home all the time. And so many people that were able to were home all the time. And being at home had a very different kind of thing going on. So I'm still not sure how I feel about this now, that it's about domestic spaces during a pandemic, and a domestic space is something very different than it was in 2019. But here we are. I just want to finish this project and move on. So I put it in a drawer for about a year. And then I just thought, I cannot sit on this anymore. I've got to move on with my life. So I've started putting it all together. So this is obviously a mock-up here, but this is the sample book, which will be inside of a box alongside of these kind of strange collages that I'm making. I'm using my clothes. I'm using my clothes and my sheets. And they're very specific items of clothing that I kept for many, many years. Like this is a vest I used to wear in high school that I've cut up. These are some pajamas that my sister gave me. They're just things that I've had for years and years, and that, I don't wear anymore, but I can't part with. And so I thought that was a good place to start. So I selected 10 of those. I made a sample housing for them that I showed you, and then I matched thread to all of those samples, and I've kind of created this thing that's loosely kind of inspired by a number of specific kind of sample books I saw when I was at Yale. So then these collages, I'm using the thread. So this is wound thread, and I'm using text from two places. One of them is this book that some of you may know, called The Waste Makers, which was like an early book about planned obsolescence and landfill culture, which was part of my early thinking about this project, and still connected to it. And then the other source were some of the domestic sample books. Mostly the ones I was interested in were from the 1970s, and they had a lot of language about like how your home is your special space, your home is your castle, really overblown language like that. So I used a combination of that. So I feel like I could talk about this all day. I'm not going to, because we only have half an hour. And also I want to show you one other thing before I answer questions. And that is this project I'm working on with my collaborators in Shift Lab, which is a group of 5 artists that I've been working with for, I think almost 10 years, maybe it's 8 years now. This is not a work in progress. This is something we did years ago at the Hamilton Wood Type and Printing Museum, but I want to show it because it inspired what we're about to work on. Our project right now is called Multiple Discovery. And what we liked about this project was this split case project from years ago, was this idea of the staggered foredge was kind of interesting to us, and this sort of strong horizontal line. What we're doing with Multiple Discovery is that this was going to be a project that we were going to complete at a variety of events, but now of course there are no events, or the event stopped for a while and we still had to keep going with the book. But what we wanted to do is have each of the 5 of us create double-sided sheets using the same horizon line as a element. These are proofs, so they're not perfect. So this is kind of an example of some of what I was doing. and we used the same colors of inks. This is Katie Baldwin's response. I happen to have her prints here because she's on a Fulbright in Taiwan. So she handed them off to me before she left. So we're all using the same inks that we had mixed, 3 colors and a black. We had them mixed by the Vancing Corporation, and then we shared them out between us. And the idea is multiple discovery is the title of the book. And it also is, it's the same as a simultaneous invention. It's the idea of one invention kind of cropping up in different places simultaneously. So we were kind of thinking about that sort of as a way to think about collaboration from a distance. So these are all going to be collated in different ways. So we're going to do an edition of 50, but each sub edition of 10 will be collated by one of us in a different way, so that you'll never know which, depending on which part of the edition you get, you know, whose print is going to be backing up to whose print. And then we're using the same text, but we're doing something similar with that text where we're going to print it on the folios in different ways. So we're kind of distributing the printed sheets out now, finalizing the text, and then each of us is going to print the text in our own way and incorporate it in our own way, so that there'll be similarities and differences inside of this one project. Boy, I'm not sure that I explained that very elegantly, but that is, oh, and I have a mock-up. It's been decorated by my child, so this is not part of the final version of this book, but just about the structure, you know, thinking about what it might look like structurally, having them folded in different positions, having that foredge kind of float in and out, and hopefully have a horizon line that will extend across all of these foredges, even when they're in this kind of wild orientation. So this is not happening yet, but this is what's happening next for this group of artists, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping it'll be done by a codex. In fact, it must be done by codex. So that's, I think that's it. How long have I talked?
You're good, Sarah. Can you tell us the names of your co-collaborators in Shift Lab?
I absolutely can. So one of them is Katie Baldwin, who teaches at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. And she is the one who's on a Fulbright in Taiwan. Trisha Tracy teaches at Dartmouth in the printmaking department. Denise Bookwalter is the head of Small Craft Advisory Press, which is located at FSU, where she's also a professor. Macy Chadwick has In Cahoots Press in residency, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and I bet a few of you have been to. Which is this beautiful residency in Petaluma, California, who has done a lot with the San Francisco Center book. And then me. Have I lost anyone? That's 5. That should be 5 people. I've left someone out. Oh, you know what? There's one more thing I wanted to show you, which is just, I'm feeling very angry at Texas right now. And I just wanted to say that I printed this book a few years ago to raise money for the ACLU. So I will try and pop this into the chat if anybody is interested. It's a $45 book that has the inaugural addresses of Barack Obama and someone I won't even really mention anymore. But it's a $45 book, and every dime goes to the ACLU. So if you're looking for a reason, there's a reason. That's it. That's my spiel.
Excellent. Yeah, be sure and put that information in the chat, because I know that everyone online would love to know that info. Are you ready for some questions? We have some.
I am so ready for questions.
I thought you might be. All right, let's see. So someone is curious, could you read a little bit of the text from your garment project?
Oh, yes, I will. Yes. So the text is simple. So I read through, hang on, I'm coming back. I read the Vance Packard Waste Makers book, and I had notes and photographs from my time in New Haven at the Color Collection. And I kind of pulled out language that I liked. And then I just used that language to title the collages. So, and I didn't use all of this. This was like kind of, these were the semi-finalists, I guess. And, but so for example, this card, which has this wound thread, it's kind of hard to see. Sorry about the light. I feel like I should have done more to get the light looking good here. But this says educated and activated amid the conflicting vibrations of sight and sound. And one thing I didn't mention about this project is that I tried to use only things I had. So this paper was offcuts that Michael and Winnie Bixler from the Bixler Press and Letter Foundry, they gave me these offcuts like 15 years ago or so, and I've had them sitting around, so I'm using these. I'm dissing all this type that I mentioned because this type came into my possession, and I'm just trying to use what's around me to make the project. Here is alter the proportions of a room. It was becoming increasingly hard to create a burning desire for things. They are optional or luxury items. Rearrange them and see how their casts seem to shift. So that's just there's a bit more language, but that is a bit that talks a little bit about that.
Yeah, people are really interested in this book, Sarah. Do you mind a couple more questions from them?
I'd love to talk about it because maybe then
nice. No, well, based on the audience participation or questions around this book, you should definitely finish it ASAP. Let's see. So London Center for Book Arts asks, how did you choose which items or garments to include in the book?
I didn't use anything that I didn't care about. So I wasn't using just like clothes I just never wore and didn't like. I used the dress I got married in, for example, when I had like a town hall wedding back in the UK in Brighton, and I used that dress because I mean, I'm not gonna wear that dress anymore. I used the sheets I slept in, my favorite sheets that now are old. I used those. That vest, this silly vest that I honestly think I wore every day between the ages of 16 and 23, you know, until it was falling off, and I still had it here, you know. So there's like things like that, just things that meant something to me. But also I was trying to find colors that worked, and I didn't want to use anything with a big pattern. You know, there were certain things that I was trying to avoid. So I was looking, my apron, for example, a dirty apron is one of the things in there. So that's the kind of stuff that I was selecting. Familiar.
Wow. Let's see. Peter Bushell has a question about the Shift Lab project.
Yeah.
He asks, for Shift Lab prints, did each artist print both sides and then share, or print one side and share so the next artist could print on the opposite side?
We printed both sides, and we actually had some guidelines for ourselves. We always have a guideline document when we're working together so that we can go back and like refresh our memories about what the project is. It's like it's a Google Drive kind of situation, and it has been for us for a long time. So we're kind of used to working that way. So we decided we would each do front and back of our 3 or 4 folios, but that there had to be something different in the mark making from one to the other. So either we were thinking about it as like zoomed in and zoomed out, or, you know, we called it like an A side and a B side. And to be honest, I'm not even sure how strictly we followed that guideline. I think that by the end, we just kind of went our own way and did what we felt like. I was thinking about it where I tried to use the ink that we distributed amongst ourselves. We could add a transparent white to make a tint of it, but we couldn't mix it together, you know. So all you could do was kind of make it a tint. So for my A's and B's, I was thinking about using it in a really solid way, like this. I don't know where I am, if you're looking at me here, if you're looking at me there, but I tried to use the solid color on one side of each folio and then use something more subtle on the other side. So that's more information than you maybe asked for, but that's the story there.
It's totally great. Let's see. I am going to Let's see. Alicia Bailey says that it reminds me of your fond book.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me of that book too. And it's, it's so funny how you do the same things before you realize it. That book was about objects that I had, like I really must like to take things that I love and make sure they never get thrown away by putting them in libraries to be protected forever. I think there's something about me that does that. I don't know, but it is like the Font Project. And it's funny. I'm doing this in a much smaller edition because it's so labor intensive to make these weird collages and spend all my time winding thread. But I think it's very similar. It's like 10 objects for that book and 10 fabric samples for this book, and I'm just repeating myself creatively again and again.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Do you have any last minute thoughts or things you would like to share, Sarah, before we say goodbye?
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and listening. It makes me feel really nice to share this work, and it's really great to see some kind of book art buddy friends out there, and I wish we were all standing in a room so we could have a glass of wine together and chit chat now. So that's my wish for all of us. But anyway, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for listening. And that's why.
Well, thank you so much for, being our From the Bench artist for September. It's always really fantastic to see you and chat with you and hear more about, what you're up to and what you're doing, because your work is always so fantastic. So thank you for that. I'm going to, let's see, remove spotlight, and these are all the things that happen. So what I will say is I will thank everybody once again for attending our From the Bench for September. And a couple of exciting things that we have going on. Coming up on September 16th, we have our second Blue Moon speaker series. We will be hosting Janine Van Gool of Uppercase Magazine. Some of you may know Janine or know of her work. She's the publisher and editor of Uppercase, and she will be doing a presentation for us on making and creating creative life and working in the studio and with your hands. So we're really excited about that program on the 16th. You can find out information on our website, www.sfcb.org. And also, I would like to let everyone know that we will be having our 18th annual Roadworks Steamroller Printing Festival on Sunday, September 26th. So we'll be printing the big prints, the 3 feet by 3 feet prints outside. The entire festival takes place outdoors this year. We'll have a giant steamroller from 1924 coming down and printing them up for us. So you can find out more information about that event on our website as well. So we are open to the public now, Wednesday through Friday, 10 to 5 p.m. and weekends, Saturday and Sunday, noon to 4. So come on by, see us. We'd love to see you. All right, so thank you everybody for attending our From the Bench, and we will see you next month in October. All right, thanks again to Sarah. Your work is always fantastic, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you. So thank you so much. Thank you. All right, everybody, thank you, and we'll see you next month, if not sooner. Bye for now.